G'day, my name is Karen Allen, and I am a homeopath, and I was here today at the American Medical College of Homeopathy to teach a class as a fundraiser. This is a mission that I totally believe in. I got interested in this because I had a child who was really sick. She got her first set of vaccinations at 6 weeks, and she spent 12 hours screaming, and she didn't get better. And I spent a year in the medical construct trying to find a solution for all the things that were the fallout of that. And I come from 5 generations of MDs, and it didn't dawn on me to even question the primary medical paradigm. She was on all kinds of medications, things that brought out spots in her skin, things that totally disordered her GI tract, things that caused all kinds of problems and didn't solve the primary issue. And eventually I took her back into my primary care pediatrician, and he said, I think we want to do this experimental procedure. And at that point I kind of said, whoa, stop. This is my kid, and you can't experiment on her. And in that sort of patriarchal kind of way that sometimes homeopaths are arrogant and sometimes docs are arrogant, he leaned forward and he gave me the good doctor frown, and he said, I don't think you understand what I mean by experimental. And I kind of frowned back at him and I said, I think the term is self-explanatory, and you cannot experiment on my kid. And he leaned back and he folded his arms and he said, just what other options do you really think you have? And I thought to myself, I will frigging find some. This is my daughter and she's sick, and I'll find a resolution. So I went home and I started asking everybody I knew. At the time, my daughter had raging ear infections. And I started asking everybody I knew, what do you do? I started calling up all my friends and going and hanging out and haunting people at the health food store. And somebody gave me a copy of a book called Everybody's Guide to Homeopathy. The first chapter told all about how it worked. I didn't even read it. I didn't care. If somebody had said you put a chicken in a bag and you swing it over your head while you dance the hokey pokey and this will really heal your kid, I would have done it. I didn't care. I opened up to the chapter on ear infections because she had raging ear infections at that point. And there was this discussion that said, wow, if the symptoms start on the right and go to the left, and I thought, wow, that happens every time. And they're associated with digestive disruption. Wow, that happens every time. And it listed off all these symptoms, and I thought, my God, this is exactly what happens with my child. How could anybody know this? And it said, if these are the symptoms, then the remedy that's likely to help you is a remedy called lycopodium. I went down to the health food store, and after these $385 prescriptions of medications, I spent $4 on a little vial of lycopodium clavatum. And I came home and I opened it up. It was the weirdest looking medicine I have ever seen, these little round balls. I gave her a dose, and she went to sleep. And she slept for 12 hours. She was 15 months old, and she had never done that in her life. And I was going in and poking her and making sure she was still breathing. And after 12 hours, she woke up. And she was tugging on her ears, and she was crying and fussing. And I was thinking, darn, that stuff didn't work. I mean, I don't know what kind of miracle I was expecting after 15 months of disease. So I fed her. And I gave her another dose, and she went back to sleep. And she slept for another 12 hours. And when she woke up, the light was back in her eyes, and she was laughing. And she was alive again. And over the next couple of weeks after that, everything that had been wrong with her just sort of evaporated away, and all the developmental delays disappeared, and she started to grow, and it was as close to a miracle as anything I have ever seen, and I was fascinated with that. I was in awe. What could do that? After all the medication she'd been on for a year that hadn't helped. And she just turned into this normal person. She's 25 now. She hates it when I tell this story. From that point, I was so fascinated with this form of medicine that I could not let it go. And I started studying on my own, and then I ended up in school, and then I ended up doing an internship in a naturopathic clinic and practicing. And then I came back to take over the school that I graduated from. And now I teach all over the world. And it is the most amazing process that I can imagine, to be with people who are ill and help them find a point of health. And I'm grateful for that every day. If I won the lottery tomorrow and I had an infinite amount of resource at my beck and call, believe me, my vacations would be a lot better, but I would still do exactly the same work that I do. That's all.